Picture this: one person, a laptop, and a chat window. No local dev environment, no massive engineering team, no whiteboard full of diagrams. And in a weekend, they go from raw idea to a live SaaS app that can charge real subscriptions. All by mostly talking to AI. This is not a pitch deck fantasy. It is the new reality of how software is getting built right now. And if you write code for a living or dream of launching a product, what you are about to hear should feel both exciting and a little terrifying. In a viral video called "I Built a Money-Making SaaS Business with AI," developers are cooked. Creator Astro Joseph shows exactly how he did it. No hand-rolled boilerplate, no weeks of sprint planning, just a handful of cloud tools wired together by large language models. His demo product lets you chat with any YouTube video, turning long tutorials and podcasts into something you can query like a database. And here is the part that should make you sit up. The stack he used is brutally simple, and almost anyone who can describe what they want in plain English can copy it. So, what actually changed? For decades, building software meant long cycles, requirements documents, sprint boards, QA phases, and painful deployments. Now, prompt windows are the new IDE. You describe a feature, and an AI coding assistant scaffolds an entire stack in hours, wiring up authentication, databases, and even payment flows. But here is the pattern break. The bottleneck is no longer, can you build this? It is, can you describe this clearly enough that AI can build it safely and profitably? Astro's stack has four main pieces: Cursor as the AI coder, Supabase as the instant backend, OpenAI as the reasoning engine, and Superdata as the clean data firehose. With just those, he built a working chat with YouTube SaaS that could, in theory, charge from day one. No scraping scripts, no homegrown auth, no custom machine learning models. And this is where the stakes jump, because suddenly, a solo marketer or content creator can ship something that used to require an entire full stack team. But before you even touch code, Astro's playbook says you should turn AI into your $1 million idea machine. Instead of pacing with a notebook, you open ChatGPT or Claude and say, "Give me 20 underserved problems for this specific audience that people already pay to solve." Then you force constraints. It must be a recurring pain. There has to be clear budget. The workflow must already live online and data has to be involved. In a minute, I will show you how this process led directly to the chat with YouTube concept and why that matters for your own ideas. Once you have raw ideas, you turn the model into a market analyst. For each promising niche, you ask it to list competitors and their pricing, summarize customer complaints from reviews and forums, and identify data sources, or AP, is you can plug into on day one. Then you leave the chat window and manually sanity check. You run the search queries it suggests, look at Google Trends, read product directory listings, and feed those pages back into the model to extract recurring pain points and job titles. The goal is simple but powerful: a one-sentence pitch that names a user, a task, and a measurable outcome. Astro noticed a surge in long-form AI tutorials, 2-hour podcasts, and lecture-style content on YouTube. People were drowning in video, scrubbing timelines just to find one answer. Using Superdata's video transcript API, he could turn any YouTube URL into clean, searchable text. From there, chatting with a specific video stops being a gimmick and becomes a time-saving tool for developers, students, and creators. Here is the twist. The hard part was not coding the chatbot. It was spotting the workflow where people were already losing hours and already motivated to pay to save them. Under the hood, the AI-first power stack is surprisingly lean. Cursor is a fork of Visual Studio Code wired directly into large language models. So you can say, build a responsive dashboard in React with dark mode and Tailwind, and it spits out components, styles, and even loading skeletons. Supabase bundles Postgres, authentication, storage, and real-time AP is behind a simple dashboard. So you get production-grade infrastructure without touching a cloud console. OpenAI handles chat, summarization, embeddings, and function calls, while Superdata turns messy web pages and videos into clean JSON or Markdown. Together, they replace a dozen traditional frameworks and weeks of setup. Working inside Cursor feels less like classic coding and more like an ongoing conversation with a tireless junior developer. You might start with create a next.js dashboard for a YouTube transcript search SaaS with sidebar filters and a results table. Cursor reads your existing files, generates components, imports, and types, and then you refine it with prompts like convert this to server components and add skeleton loaders. When something breaks, you do not dig through Stack Overflow. You highlight the function and ask, why is this throwing a 500 when Supabase returns null, and it traces the logic and proposes a fix. This changes who can ship full products and how fast they can move. But there is a catch. Vague prompts like build login give you fragile, generic code. Precise prompts like implement email magic link auth using Supabase, redirect to dashboard on success, show toast errors, TypeScript only, produce robust production-ready modules. Prompt quality has become the new craft. Strong workflows chain prompts into a loop, generate, review, refine. You ask Cursor to write tests, then harden edge cases, then optimize for 1,000 concurrent users. Code stops being a static artifact and becomes a live dialogue where better questions literally ship better features. Supabase sits at the center as the backend you barely have to think about. It gives you real Postgres with row-level security, plus built-in auth and storage. For the chat with YouTube SaaS, Supabase manages user accounts, stores transcripts, and runs lightweight backend logic as edge functions. Instead of spinning up an Express server, configuring Docker, and wiring CI/CD, Astro can deploy a small function that calls Superdata, writes rows to Postgres, and maybe hits OpenAI for embeddings. In practical terms, that is hundreds of engineering hours removed from the critical path. Superdata is the quiet secret weapon in this stack. Large models are only as good as the context you feed them, and most of the web is a mess of scripts, ads, and half-broken HTML. Superdata sits in the middle, taking a YouTube URL or a web page and returning normalized JSON or Markdown that is ready for search analytics or retrieval augmented generation. For Astro's product, its video transcript API is the entire data backbone. And here is why that matters to you. Instead of wasting weeks writing fragile scrapers, you can focus on the experience and the business model on top. So you have an idea, a stack, and a prototype. When does it become a real business? The answer is simple. When money hits the account. Stripe is the default gatekeeper here. Supabase ships with Stripe integrations and serverless functions, and tools like Cursor can generate boilerplate for checkout sessions, webhooks, and customer portals from a single prompt, add monthly subscriptions with Stripe billing. The technical side of monetization has never been easier. The hard part is still choosing a pricing model that matches how your users see value. Classic SaaS patterns still win. Tiered subscriptions, usage-based billing, or a hybrid. AI can even analyze competitor pricing, summarize patterns, and propose 3 clear tiers with feature matrices. For a Superdata-powered tool, you might meter on videos processed or pages scraped. A free tier with 10 calls per month, a pro tier with 1,000 calls, and a business tier with custom limits and support. In a minute, we will zoom out from pricing and ask the uncomfortable question behind all of this. If one person can build so much with prompts, are traditional developers actually obsolete? Here is the honest answer. Developers are not cooked, but the old way of being a developer is. The value is shifting from raw syntax fluency to prompt engineering, product judgment, and data sourcing. Someone still has to define constraints, model edge cases, and make sure user data is handled safely and ethically. But that person might not be a traditional engineer. It could be a marketer with deep niche insight, a solo founder, or a domain expert who can steer AI tools like an orchestra conductor. The real stakes are huge. If non-technical founders can stitch together Superdata, Supabase, OpenAI, and Stripe with prompts, the barrier to launching a SaaS drops dramatically. That means more competition, faster iteration, and a flood of niche tools aimed at every imaginable workflow. For you, that cuts both ways. Your job description may change, but your leverage can skyrocket if you learn to work with these tools instead of competing against them. The question is no longer, can you code this feature by hand, but can you design the system and the business around it? So where do you start if you want to ride this wave instead of being crushed by it? Step 1, pick a specific audience and use AI as your ruthless idea filter. Step 2, validate the pain with real searches and real people, not just vibes. Step 3, learn the new power stack, Cursor or another AI editor, Supabase or similar back-end as a service, OpenAI or a comparable model provider, and a clean data source like Supabase. With that, you are dangerously close to being able to ship your first AI-powered SaaS in weeks, not years. If you are a developer, this is your invitation to evolve, not your obituary. Learn to write surgical prompts. Learn to think in systems and customer journeys, not just functions and classes. If you are not a developer, this is your chance to step onto the field. You no longer need to hire a team to test a SaaS idea. You need curiosity, discipline, and the willingness to let AI be your co-founder. And that is the real story behind developers are cooked. The ones who cling to the old playbook might be. The ones who adapt are about to be more powerful than ever. If you want more deep dives into real AI first stacks,